All right, this question is from Diane. Diane said, my husband was prescribed metformin to be taken at night. I do not want him to be that guy taking pills out at dinner in a restaurant. Can he take it in the morning after breakfast? Oh, come on, Diane. That's mean. Sometimes you got to take a pill at night. It's not a big deal. Oh, okay. Anyway, sorry. Don't listen to me, though. I don't know anything about anything. What do we got? Is this an okay change?
So the short answer is that the timing of metformin, in order to get the most out of it, the timing does matter. And so a lot of times maybe what's happening behind the scenes is your provider is matching the dosing possibly with your specific blood sugar needs, your specific metabolic needs. Now, the caveat to that is that adherence is also incredibly important. The steady state of the drug concentration in the blood over the long term is going to be most important. So if this nightly dosing does not work for somebody, or they're 60% compliant, 40% compliant, that's a completely different conversation to have.
Yeah.
And so in that case, Diane's husband, if we find out he's just not taking it, he just can't deal with that, he doesn't want to bring it, then that's something you go to your provider, or you go to your provider with that information and say, hey, let's kind of maybe shift some things to match my lifestyle, my behavior. Now, I think to switch gears a little bit, to riff on this some, on the part that I think we find most interesting, it's just more so why, the why behind the different timing administrations and why that might be important. So there is something called the dawn effect, or the dawn phenomenon.
DAWN?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Not like, never mind.
The dawn.
The dawn.
The dawn. Not the Italian version.
The dawn.
Got it.
So let's pretend for a moment that he was prescribed the extended release formulation. We are, you might be wondering why would somebody take the extended release formulation before bed, after the meal, before bed? What's happening overnight? Why might that be important? Why isn't that important?
Metformin is a blood sugar control medication,
yes.
Right? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Exactly. That's the main goal,
right?
In taking it. So back to that dawn effect, between around 4 a.m. and 8 a.m., the body is kind of undergoing this change, this regulatory process. So to wake you up, essentially a surge of counter regulatory hormones are released. So things like glucagon, cortisol, growth hormone. These hormones temporarily will increase insulin resistance. And so this is a signal for your liver to essentially dump glucose into your bloodstream. So for one, kind of patient type, or, maybe this is the vast majority, or whatever the case, I don't know that answer specifically. Regardless, in diabetics, this is where you'll see a severe morning blood sugar spike. And that's kind of what we want to avoid. So this might be, again, as we riff on this might be why the extended release formulation was chosen and timed for the evening dose. The ER tablets, they're made in a very fancy way that allows essentially the active ingredient to disperse slowly, meaning that the drug doesn't necessarily the drug doesn't reach its maximum concentration in the blood until about 7 to 8 hours after you actually take it.
Wow.
And so if you take it at dinner or bedtime, that means that this peak therapeutic window kind of aligns better with that 4 a.m. surge in those hormones that we just mentioned. And so then you hope that over time we're suppressing this dump from the liver that we mentioned, and preventing this morning surge of blood glucose that may have been measured. So it kind of just leaves him to be better protected overnight, to kind of say it simply. Now, again, we want to make sure that they're taking their medication in the first place. So if we look at something like the IR formulation, if you're taking the standard immediate release metformin during the day, the strategy changes. historically, we've told these patients to just take it with their first bite of food. We want to prevent GI upset, but we're now seeing that in order for the drug to yield the best results, it's important to take it 30 to 60 minutes before the meal.
Okay.
Now, again, adherence is everything. And there are a lot of people who will stop taking it because of, how crummy it makes their stomach feel. And so in that case, if you are taking it with the first bite of food, that's not the end of the world, right?
It's better than not taking it at all.
Yes. You might just get this little bit of benefit based on, the game of averages here. If you can push that to about 30 to 60 minutes. Again, there's a whole kind of complex process that occurs actually in the gut that we now know might, again, lead to some of these better results as it relates to metabolic health and blood sugar. But again, we just want to make sure that, if you're somebody that's maybe newly prescribed this medication, we just want to make sure you're adapting to this change. And I don't know how long he's been taking it, but it sounds like maybe this is a newish thing. I just think we want to make sure we're tolerating it well, make sure it jives with your lifestyle. And if it doesn't jive with your lifestyle, educate a little bit on why maybe this is a sacrifice worth making.
Yeah. All right. So if I understood you, you said it's probably a good idea to take it in the evening as prescribed because it was probably prescribed that way for a specific reason.
And it's probably the extended release form.
Probably the extended release, the dawn effect, all that jazz. And that if it's not working and you can't adhere, talk to your doctor, figure out how you can adhere, because that's far more important than the timing ultimately.
And that doesn't mean if you change, it's not going to not work.
Right. Right.
So.
It's just the maximum, trying to get the most you can out of the medication.
Right.
All right. Well, that was cool. Diane, I hope that helps. Be nice to your husband and let him take his pills when he's supposed to, even if it's in public.